First, the headlines. At least 15 people killed as funicular railway popular with tourist derails in Lisbon. President Tinubu begins 10-day vacation. U.S. President seeks expedited Supreme Court ruling on tariffs. Now the news in details. Cable railway derailed and hit a building in Lisbon. 18 others have been injured, with 5 in a serious condition. Authorities said last night a child had sustained minor wounds. Local media report suggests the cable came loose along the railway's route, causing it to lose control. A joint investigation between the police and the company that runs the 140-year-old Gloria funicular is underway. The railway, which opened in the 19th century, connects Lisbon's downtown with the upper quarter and is popular with tourists. Tourism is central to Portugal's economy, especially Lisbon's. In the meantime, UK Defense Secretary Mr. John Healey says his country and its allies stand ready to support Ukraine before negotiations to end the war as well as to secure an eventual peace deal. On the eve of a top-level meeting in Paris, John Healey told the BBC in Kiev that Ukraine's allies would help make the sky safe, to make the sea safe and to secure the land once a peace deal had been struck. But months earlier, Russia's President Vladimir Putin had conveyed a defiant message from China, vowing that his full-scale invasion could continue. Mr. Haley suggested that there was bluster in Putin's words, insisting that Russia was under pressure. He also praised U.S. President Donald Trump, who he said had brought Putin into talks and not closed off any options, despite widespread criticism of the warm welcome Trump gave the Russian leader last month in Alaska. Moving to the U.S., President Donald Trump has urged the Supreme Court to step into the fray over his emergency tariffs, putting the centerpiece of his economic agenda in the hands of the justices who have mostly backed his sweeping view of executive power, according to a copy of the appeal obtained. Trump is pressing the justices to overturn a lower court ruling that found his administration had acted unlawfully by imposing many of his sweeping import taxes, and he has framed the case in existential terms. The case once again raises fundamental questions for the court about the president to act unilaterally and without explicit authority from Congress. Now bringing you news from Africa. South African authorities say extreme poverty and severe lack of affordable housing were major factors in a deadly Johannesburg building fire 2 years ago. In August 2023, 77 people died and many more were injured after a fire gutted the Sindoso building in Marshalltown, where many poor people were living. The tragedy shocked the nation and highlighted the deep housing inequalities in Africa's wealthiest city, inequalities the authorities promised to address. The report, the final one to be released, has not been made public, but the Gauteng provincial government, which it commissioned it, shared some key findings. And this news broadcast is coming to you live from Aneke TV. Remember, you can follow us on all social media feeds on Facebook, Instagram, X and TikTok, and here on YouTube, all at Aneke TV. Now let's take a quick look at major developments in the news. President Tinubu begins a 10-day vacation. U.S. President seeks expedited Supreme Court ruling on tariffs. Coming up shortly, Borno State Governor leads Northeast governors to meet President Tinubu. Police confirmed 10 dead in 2 separate accidents in Enugu State. And the news returns after the break. Stay tuned. You're still watching the news at 3 on Aneke TV. We'll continue with the news. President Bola Tinubu has commenced a 10-day vacation as part of his 2025 annual leave. According to a statement signed by his special advisor on information and strategy, Mr. Bayo Onanuga, the president will spend the 10 working days vacation between France and the United Kingdom, after which he will return to Nigeria. We move to education. Ebonyi State government has banned graduation ceremonies for nursery and primary schools. It also banned compulsory lessons in writing, text and assignments inside textbooks all the schools in the state. The State Commissioner for Education, Dr. Donatus Lang, who announced this in a memo to all principals and head of teachers of public schools, proprietors of private schools and faith-based schools, as well as parents and guardians and general public, warned them to adhere strictly to the new directives or face sanction. In the meantime, the United States has approved 32.5 million naira for Nigeria to address hunger. This is rare since President Donald Trump suspended most aid through the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID. According to statements by the U.S. mission to Nigeria, the fund will provide food assistance and nutritional support to internally displaced people, IDPs, in conflict-affected areas. The U.S. mission said the donation will provide food and nutrition assistance to 764,205 beneficiaries across the northeast and northwest of Africa's most populous country. This includes complementary nutrition top-ups for 41,569 pregnant and breastfeeding women and girls and 43,235 children through electronic food vouchers. Also, the United Nations has decried the deepening humanitarian impact of terrorism in West Africa and the Sahel, revealing that 1,364 children were recruited by armed groups in 2024, while more than 14,000 schools were shut due to insecurity. UN Under Secretary General and Special Representative of the Secretary General for West Africa and the Sahel, Mr. Leonardo Simao, stated this at the regional conference on combating emerging terrorist groups and strengthening sustainable security in the ECOWAS region and the Sahel in Abuja. Mr. Simao said the situation reflects stolen futures, fractured communities, and deepening fragility. As terrorist groups increasingly exploit ungoverned spaces, local grievances and advanced technologies such as drones and encrypted communications to entrench their operations. In a similar development, the World Health Organization has called on Nigeria to increase public health spending to at least 20% of total expenditure. WHO Regional Director Professor Mohammed Janabi made the call in Abuja at the ongoing National Health Financing Dialogue on the theme Reimagining the Future of Health Financing in Nigeria. Professor Janabi stated that sustainable healthcare financing remains the backbone of resilient health systems. He stressed that increased investment will reduce out-of-pocket payments, protect households, and strengthen pooling and prepayment mechanisms. In the meantime, Governor Babagana Zulum of Borno State yesterday led a delegation of Northeast governors to meet with President Bola Tinubu. The meeting held at the presidential villa in Abuja focused on critical issues affecting the Northeast, including urgent competition of 17 vital road projects neglected for decades and the resumption of oil exploration in the frontier wells, particularly the Coal Mani and Lake Chad wells. Delivering his address during the meeting, Governor Zulum, who is also the chairman of the Northeast Governors Forum, urged the president to complete the ongoing road projects and build critical roads connecting the 6 states of the zone. He commended the president for the commitment to restoring peace within the Northeast. The governor assured the president of their commitment to his administration's initiative on training of manpower and providing technology with a view to reversing the insecurity facing the Northeast. Still on the local news, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has arrested the Chief Executive Officer of Gavis Logistics Limited, Aham Batochukwu, for allegedly defrauding investors of over 2 billion naira through a failed logistics investment scheme. In a statement, the EFCC said Tochukwu, through his company, lured investors with promises of a 50% return on investment in haulage, courier, and e-commerce services. According to the Commission spokesperson, Mr. Dele Oyewale, investigations reveal that more than 400 people invested in the scheme but have been unable to recover their funds. The EFCC added that Tochukwu absconded with the money in November 2024 before being tracked down and arrested. He is currently being interrogated over what the commission described as a Ponzi scheme. The agency also warned Nigerians against falling for unverified investment platforms. Meanwhile, many subscribers in Abia State who invested huge money in a 50% return on investment ROI in Garbage Logistics Limited, Umahia, have appealed to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, to help them in recovering their money. The investors, while thanking the EFCC for arresting the promoter of the investment company, said their major concern was for the EFCC to recover their trapped money from the arrested Chief Executive Officer of the company, Mr. Hamba Tochukwu. Some Abia residents who claimed that their huge capital and the advertised interests were not paid to them begged the EFCC to go beyond the arrest of the company Chief Executive Officer, but to recover their money from him. The residents, including Ms. Favi, Sami Tek, Ndobisi, Abakoma, Tobias, and Harrison Limo, called for immediate recovery and refund of investors' funds. Moving on, the Rivers State Police Command has warned against the rising trend of women collecting transport fare from men and failing to turn up for meetings, describing it as a criminal offense. The caution follows a viral video in which the police public relations officer, Grace Irenge Koko, in a video on X, said the practice amounted to fraud and could attract punishment under the law. Irenge Koko stressed that such actions fall under the category of obtaining by false pretense, noting that offenders could be arrested and prosecuted if complaints are lodged with the police. She further urged members of the public to avoid deceitful financial dealings. Meanwhile, the Anambra State Police Command says it has directed a mental evaluation for a 28-year-old man who attempted to take his own life by climbing a power transmission high-tension pole in the Awada area of the state. According to the command's public relations officer, Tochukwu Ikenga, in the statement, the incident occurred on Tuesday evening. Ikenga noted that upon receipt of the information, police operatives mobilized in the scene, cordoned off the area, and persuaded the victims. In the meantime, the Enugu State Police Command has confirmed that 10 persons died in two separate road accidents that occurred yesterday around the Ozala four-corner axis of the Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway. Police spokesperson SP Daniel Ndukwe in a statement said the first crash occurred around 9 a.m. when a Howo truck laden with bags of cement and marked Visco Investment Global collided with a Toyota Corolla, attempting to overtake another vehicle. According to him, the truck's head and the Corollas went up in flames, killing all 5 occupants of the car, while one passenger in the minibus also died. Ndukwe noted that another accident occurred around 3 p.m. when a Sino truck belonging to Global Investment rammed into a tricycle while driving against traffic from Gariki, Enugu to Newe in Aninri local government area. The crash killed the 4 occupants of the tricycle who were later confirmed dead at the hospital. 10 other victims from the 2 crashes are currently receiving treatment in hospital. Still on the news, Dangote Industries Limited has denied ownership of the truck involved in the fatal accident in Enugu. In a statement signed by its management, the group said the vehicle was operated by a third party. It added that tighter measures will be taken to protect its bride identity. Chief Superintendent of Police CSP Benjamin Hundeyin has been appointed as the new Niger Police Force Public Relations Officer FPRO. The development followed the redeployment of former Force PRO Olumuyiwa Adejobi to the Delta State Police Command following his recent promotion as the Deputy Commissioner of Police DCP. Until his appointment, Hundeyin was a Police Public Relations Officer of the Lagos State Command. Now we take you to the business news. The federal government has announced that the Nigeria Customs Service (NCS) generated 3.7 trillion naira in the first half of 2025, a revenue performance that exceeded budgetary expectations and outpaced last year's results. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, announced this during the 62nd meeting of the NCS board in Abuja. He said the cash represented a 12.5% increase above budget projectors and 25% higher than collections recorded in the same period of 2024. According to the minister, the performance of the NCS was commendable, but he cautioned that deeper reforms will be needed to achieve the administration's ambitious revenue targets. He explained that the National Single Window Initiative a digital trade platform scheduled for full rollout in 2026, is central to the administration's reforms. Designed to streamline import and export processes, the platform reduce costs, eliminate unnecessary delays, and strengthen competitiveness, thereby improving the ease of doing business for the private sector. Still talking finance, according to new figures released by the presidency for January to August 2025, the country has achieved its strongest fiscal performance in decades, with non-oil revenues powering unprecedented growth in government collections. Reports indicate that the total revenue collected during the period reached 20.59 trillion naira, representing a 40.5% increase compared to 14.6 trillion naira recorded in the same period of 2024. The surge, according to a statement issued by the Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, is a result of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's reforms to strengthen compliance, digitize tax administration, and broaden the country's fiscal base. Heading over to sports, ahead of the crucial World Cup qualifying fixture between the Super Eagles and the Bafana Bafana of South Africa next week, the Free State Stadium located in Lebonfontein has been cleared to host the clash by governing bodies FIFA and CAF. There have been uncertainty over which venue would host Bafana Bafana's World Cup qualifying matches at home after concerns had been raised about the unsatisfactory pitch conditions at the Free State Stadium. However, a joint statement from FIFA and CAF eventually gave the arena the green light to stage the match, following further inspectors by officials from both governing bodies. Still in sports, Celtic manager Brendan Rodgers believes new signing Kelechi Iheanacho will thrive at the club and endear himself to supporters after signing the Niger striker on a free transfer. The 28-year-old agreed a one-year deal with the Scottish champions after parting ways with Sevilla just a day earlier. His arrival came hours before the Europa League signing deadline and followed criticism from fans over the club's failure to bring in a striker on transfer deadline day. Rodgers, who previously worked with Iheanacho during their time together at Leicester City, backed the forward to make an immediate impact. Now we head to the entertainment scene. Nigerian rapper and actor Folarin Falz Falana has opened up about his views on marriage privacy following widespread speculation that he had secretly tied the knot. The rumors began after a series of traditional wedding-themed photos he shared online quickly went viral, with many fans believing they were from a real marriage ceremony. Falz, however, clarified that the images were part of a photoshoot project, not an actual wedding ceremony. Reacting to the frenzy via his Instagram account, the rapper joked that when he eventually decides to get married, people may not even take him seriously. And that's all on the news at 3 at Aneke TV. To end the news, here are the main points. Portugal is observing a national day of mourning after at least 15 people were killed when a funicular cable railway derailed and hit a building in Lisbon. We also told you that President Bola Tinubu has commenced a working vacation in Europe as part of his 2025 annual leave. And that ends the news. For breaking news and eyewitness reports, please call 0703 043 7110, or you can send a message across all our social media platforms on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and here on YouTube, all at Aneke TV. I am Amaka Niji. Thank you for joining us.
The Federal Capital Territory (FCT) is a monumental city of edifice strategically designed to showcase the aesthetic beauty of a natural ambience, a land of opportunities often referred to as the center of unity. Abuja is the political hub of the nation, lying strategically at the center of Nigeria. It was officially designated as the capital in 1976, replacing Lagos, and formally became the seat of government in 1991. The decision to build Abuja was rooted in its central location, neutrality among Nigeria's diverse ethnic groups, and its vast land space, which made it perfect for expansion. Today, Abuja has grown into a well-planned, organized, and prestigious city that tells the story of Nigeria's unity and ambition. Early mornings in Abuja are alive with the buzzing sound of cars speeding through wide boulevards and flyovers. Porsche cars and executive luxury vehicles glide alongside long buses and motorcycles, painting a picture of a city where classes mix but remain distinct. It is a city where aristocrats, ruling elites, and key players of the capitalist industry share the same roads with artisans, traders, and ordinary Nigerians striving for daily survival. Yet, despite the aura of power, excellence, and wealth, Abuja is uniquely human. It is not unusual to see a minister of the Federal Republic or a high-ranking official standing in line at a shopping mall, waiting to buy one or two things like everyone else. That blend of prestige and simplicity is part of what makes Abuja truly alive. As the center of unity, Abuja is home to people from every corner of the nation, hosting over 5 major ethnic languages and countless cultural groups. Each carries its cultural emblem and beliefs, all interwoven into the city's cosmopolitan fabric. Added to this is Abuja's international status. Embassies from nearly every nation in the world stand tall within its borders, making it not just Nigeria's capital, but also a diplomatic hub where cultures, politics, and global relations converge. The city's uniqueness is greatly seen in its structures and landmarks. Its skyline boasts the impressive NNPC Towers, the Golden Domed National Mosque, the World Trade Center, the City Gate, and the imposing Federal Secretariat. The Central Bank of Nigeria rises as a symbol of economic authority, while the National Assembly complex represents democracy in action. Justice is anchored at the Supreme Court, and other high courts, and national pride gathers at the Bola Ahmed Tinubu International Conference Center, a hub for global summits and national dialogues. These monumental structures scattered across the city give Abuja its distinctive blend of power, beauty, and modernity. Abuja's districts are carefully planned and speak volumes of its identity. Maitama is mapped out as a residential haven for the wealthy, top politicians, and high-profile individuals. Asokoro is equally affluent, hosting ministers, governors, and ambassadors. Katampe Extension and Gazupe Estate are fast-rising luxury neighborhoods with scenic landscapes, while areas like Garki, Wuse, and Area 11 estates blend commercial activities with residential living. Each zone tells its own story, yet all are tied together by the city's larger vision of order and beauty. Infrastructure is one of Abuja's strongest assets. Unlike many cities that grew without planning, Abuja was designed with foresight. Its broad highways are lined with greenery. Its roundabouts are often adorned with fountains and sculptures, and its flyovers make navigation seamless. The city gate stands as a welcoming symbol of pride, while routes leading to Aso Rock Presidential Villa reflect the seat of Nigeria's authority. From the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, travelers from across the world step into a city that is both modern and distinctly Nigerian. What makes Abuja special is not only its structures but also its spirit. It is a city where wealth and influence meets.
aya kwabo aya kwabo
na ma no we wa mu kwado di mi no di ekwekwe yibo do
obeba aya kwabo
na ma na mu kwado di mi ma showo di de ekwekwe yibo do de o da mu no na bu
iya
yibo do de ke
iya
o da mu no goro mo bu ke ke go do de ke ayi de ke je bo do de ke mi go wa ga o do bo pa ma sha mi do de ke ti lo
Belele malo loko Woyele yo babeli Wogu jibe goje kakale Wala kila jogu kwide ya dolu gula bule jenu ketongo Dulo tokoro Iya
Mata mwete wogu watu Mwana yi de yi Mata mwana ku kota de yi da ma cho Omabogwe.
Iya ogarajo Ojo yu woru go geje Ojo yu woru go geje
Omabogwe.
Iya wo egide kuwi Wigo aberejelu guzo Ebe bulo woru gurujede Dokerejelu guzo ebe bulo woru gurujede Abe makwalo yu jedile jinu kadore nyokaru
Football. Football is more than a game. It's a language. It speaks joy in every goal, unity in every chant, and hope in every comeback. On the field, we forget our names and remember we are one. A single ball moves across lines, but erases boundaries, rich or poor, young or old. In that 90-minute stretch, everything matters. And sometimes, it's not just about winning. It is about belonging. Football teaches us that losing is temporary, but passion is permanent. That the spirit of the game often outlasts the score, and in the roar of the crowd, we find something like home.
Close your eyes. Let the years roll back. Echoes of the past, taking you back in time, where every story shines like a sweet old rhyme, from classic hits to faces we've missed, from golden days to timeless bliss. It's not just memories, it is a journey through the moment that made us. Echoes of the past, the stories that last, on your Throwback Thursday, bringing back the past. Only here on Aneke TV, where yesterday lives again. Imagine a young boy from Zungeru in northern Nigeria, born to an Igbo father and a mother of Gwari heritage, who would grow to become the voice that awakened an entire continent. A man who was not just Nigeria's first president, but a global thinker, a sportsman, a publisher, a polyglot, and above all, a dreamer who turned his dreams into movements. That man was Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, fondly called Zik of Africa. Hi and welcome to Echoes of the Past with Aneke. Nnamdi Azikiwe was born on November 16, 1904 in Zungeru, a small railway town in today's United States. Few know that he almost didn't survive childhood. Malaria and dysentery plagued him, but his mother called him Nnamdi, meaning "my father is alive," a prophetic name that carried the weight of survival and continuity. As the son of Obed Edom Chukwuemeka Azikiwe, a clerk with the colonial government, little Nnamdi moved frequently across Nigeria. This exposed him to Hausa, Yoruba and Igbo cultures, planting the seed of his famous belief in one Nigeria. He attended school in Onitsha and later at Hope Waddell Training Institute in Calabar, where he first encountered the power of education mixed with activism. Azikiwe worked as a dishwasher, coal miner, and even a road digger in the United States to pay his tuition. When he arrived in 1925, America was not welcoming to Africans, but instead of breaking him, racism fueled his determination. He studied at Storer College, Howard University, Lincoln University, and later the University of Pennsylvania. By 1934, he had earned 2 master's degrees, one in political science, another in anthropology. He was later conferred an honorary doctorate, making him one of the most educated Africans of his generation. He once said, "My stiffest earthly assignment is to change an ignorant, degraded, and wretched society for the better." In America, he wrote passionately for newspapers, defending Africa against colonial propaganda. His book, Renaissance Africa, 1937, would later inspire nationalist movements across the continent. He briefly tried to enlist in the U.S. Army Air Corps during World War II, but was rejected because of his nationality. When Zik returned to Africa in 1934, he first went to the Gold Coast, Ghana, where he worked with the African Morning Post and mentored young Kwame Nkrumah. It was in Ghana that he popularized the slogan, "Africa for Africans, Africans for humanity, and humanity for God." By 1937, he returned to Nigeria and founded the West African Pilot. This was not just a newspaper. It was a weapon of liberation. Its motto was, "Show the light and the people will find the way." Through fiery editorials, Zik challenged colonial injustices, exposed corruption, and inspired ordinary Nigerians to demand independence. So powerful was his journalism that colonial authorities once plotted to silence him permanently. But Zik had the protection of the masses. In Lagos, market women were known to sell food on credit to their Zik. Zik's charisma led him into politics. He founded the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, NCNC, a party that united multiple ethnic groups, a rare feat in a divided colony. He became the first premier of Eastern Nigeria in 1954, the first Senate president in 1960, and eventually Nigeria's first president in 1963 after independence was secured. But his greatness wasn't in the titles he held. It was in how he carried himself. He spoke fluent Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo, English, and even Latin. He promoted sports, establishing the Zik's Athletic Club, believing a healthy youth was vital for nation building. He envisioned Nigeria as the giant of Africa long before it became fashionable. Zeke was a sprinter and once competed in intercollegiate athletics in the US, narrowly missing a sport in the Olympics. He was one of the first Nigerians to own a car, but often chose to walk through markets to hear directly from the people. His speeches were studied not just in Nigeria, but across Africa. Young leaders like Julius Nyerere and Kenneth Kaunda regarded him as a mentor. During the Biafra crisis 1967 to 1970, though an Igbo man, Zeke risked being seen as a traitor by some when he called for a peaceful resolution instead of continued war. This decision cost him political capital but earned him historical respect. After Nigeria's return to civilian rule in 1979, Zeke was again a presidential candidate, though he never regained the political dominance of his youth. He retired quietly to Nsukka, where he spent his final years writing, reflecting and counseling younger politicians. On May 11, 1996, Nnamdi Azikiwe passed away at the age of 91. His funeral was so grand it was called a state of funeral for Africa. Over 50 world leaders attended, honoring a man who had become a symbol of African unity. Today, his face is on Nigeria's currency. His name immortalized in the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, and countless schools bear his legacy. But beyond these symbols, his true legacy lies in the vision he gave Africa, that a free, united, and enlightened continent was possible. Nnamdi Azikiwe was not just a perfect man, but he was a man of vision, a dreamer, a fighter, a builder. From the dusty streets of Zungeru to the halls of power in Lagos, he carried with him one unshakable belief. From the dusty streets of Zungeru to the halls of power in Lagos, he carried with him one unshakable belief. The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams and who have the courage to fight for them. And that is the story of Zeke of Africa, the man who showed the light so his people could find the way. And thank you for joining us today on Echoes of the Past. See you again, same time, same station, next week on Aneke TV. My name is Aneke. Don't forget to drop your comments and follow us across all our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, and right here on YouTube, all at Aneke TV. Bye for now.